Hey everyone, welcome to the NFL edition of the Daily Fantasy Flex podcast for October 12th, 2016, brought to you by FantasyLabs. I'm Matthew Freedman, the editor-in-chief, and I'm joined by regulars Adam Levitan and Peter Jennings on Twitter at Adam Levitan and CSURam88. And also joining the show is Kevin McClelland at TheSportsGeek. He's the proprietor of TheSportsGeek.com and an OG member of Team FantasyLabs with his very own NFL and PGA models. Kevin, how's it going?
Pretty good. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, how did Week 5 go for you?
I was all right. I hit a couple of my players, but missed on some stacks and some other secondary players. So not a great week, but not a bad week.
Yeah, Levitan, Peter, how did it go for you guys?
Well, Peter won the 4-man this week. And I think I had like a negative 1% ROI or 2% ROI or something on the week overall. So Jerry, not full-blown generic brand, unflavored kibble, but definitely none of the good stuff. Not the good flavors. You know what I mean?
What about the Duck Reserve there?
Yeah, no, can't afford the Duck Reserve this week.
Oh man, we're gonna have to. But when I have to send you some, that's what Jerry always needs to eat well. We're all such a fan of Jerry. She's been crushing all year. But
and Peter, you can afford to send some Duck Reserve because you had a pretty good week.
Yeah, it was a good week. Amari Cooper, I'm still frustrated about him, but I certainly can't complain after last week. Ended pretty well. Had a good result in the Thunderdome, fading Odell Beckham. And, Amari Cooper, I don't know. I'm biased, clearly, but that was pretty ridiculous, right? Especially that last touchdown where they, took 2 minutes to call it and there was a challenge. I mean, that was an interesting circumstance.
What was Amari Cooper? What was Odell owned in the Thunderdome? I was shocked that he was 20. He was 23% in the Millie Maker. I don't understand why people just keep going back to this guy.
48% in the Thunderdome.
Oh my god. God.
Full on fade. Yeah, that was a scary sweat to say the least.
I mean, I didn't even want to play Odell Beckham in the 2-game Sunday night, Monday night slate.
Oh, come on, Levitan.
I mean, Wiggins didn't play him in the 2-game slate.
I guess that's fair.
Yeah.
Well, in terms of skill game propositions, Pete basically won the Millie Maker. He's over there bathing in 6-packs of God-watered Coors Light goodness. He went 8-3 and made the rest of us losers along the way. Levitan was 3-5. Our guest Matt Brown was 2-4. I was 1-2. Pete, you really did the bulk of your damage with your Raider love. You went 4-0 on the props that involved Derek Carr and Amari Cooper. What was it about the Raiders that you liked so much last week?
Well, Verrett was out. That was a big thing. I mean, I think he's a top 5, at least a top 10 corner in the NFL. And the rest of the Chargers defense isn't that great. I mean, they're pretty good at actually stopping the run. So it was even, I wouldn't say a funnel spot, but it was definitely a spot where I thought the Raiders had the advantage in the passing game. And yeah, I've been long Amari Cooper, and eventually it's going to really pay off. I think he's one of the 6 or 7 best athletes in the NFL at the position. I think he's just a really good option. So then in addition to that, Crabtree's one of the best guys in terms of touchdown equity. So, yeah, just came to fruition. But certainly it was a fortunate week because they busted. I've had them, the first 4 weeks of the season. It hasn't quite paid the same as this last week.
Yeah, and obviously Carr's having I think an unexpectedly great season. And Cooper, it's almost impossible for a guy to get the yardage that he's getting in the way he's getting it without having some touchdowns come along the way. So I think there definitely will be some regression there. So anyway, Peter, the upshot with your massive volume and instinctual prowess is that now you are the all-time leader at 14-9. You jumped past Levitan, who's 13-11. I'm just getting punished by the rake at 7-7. Now our guests are collectively 10-17. That's sub Freedman. It's not good. But I think that this week we have the right guy to get our guest record headed in the right direction. Kevin, you are someone who professionally dispenses skill game tips and picks. 2 questions. Since you are in Canada, what exactly are you putting on the line instead of 6-packs of Coors Light? Is it Labatt Blue or Molson Canadian Light? And then the second question, when you are searching for an edge, whether it's on a game or a player, what are the types of things that you consider?
We'll go with Molson Canadian for me. And doing the research. It's just kind of feel for me, just putting in the work into the research and watching the games. Nothing too special for me.
Yeah. Do you watch all the games?
I watch as much as I can. I've got the 3 TVs going in the red zone, and I'm there from 1 p.m. right until Sunday night watching the game. So I think, most of it is just watching the games and getting a feel for things.
Yeah, that's pretty baller to have the 3 TV set up. Let's go ahead and get into the show. And just to start out, a quick reminder, on the pod, we're focusing more on roster construction and game theory. If you want previews of each game as well as positional breakdowns, you should check out our NFL dashboard that comes out every Thursday. Okay, Kevin, let's start with you. Who are your positional chalk locks, like the chalky guys that you are fine with being locked in your cash game lineup, at least for right now?
So I've got 2 here. I've got Le'Veon Bell. He's 7,900 on DraftKings this week. Steelers have an implied team total of 27 points. They're going up against the Dolphins, who I think have a brutal defense. So far, Bell has scored 25 and 24 DraftKings points in his 2 games played. And I think he's got a really safe floor anytime the Steelers are playing a bad defense like the Dolphins. So I would take him in cash or GPPs this week. And then for quarterbacks, this is coming for the Thursday to Monday slate. Carson Palmer, 6,000 on DraftKings. I think that's way too cheap with his matchup. The Jets rank last in yards against per passing attempt, and they're last in DVOA passing defense. And Palmer has had a little bit of a slow start to the season, but he was 6th highest scoring quarterback last season.
Yeah, Levitan, any thoughts on those guys and then other guys that you like?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, when Antonio Brown is priced at 10K and Le'Veon Bell is 7,900, it's just going to be hard to roster Antonio Brown. I think he'll be really popular. I think DeMarco Murray will be real popular. I think LaShawn McCoy will be really popular. But the thing that's going to create when all 3 of those guys are really popular and everybody wants to play Cam or Breeze in that Coors Field game down in New Orleans, it's going to create a situation where everybody needs value at wide receiver, and the one that sticks out is Cam Meredith. I mean, I think we could see Cam Meredith at over 30% ownership, which is just insane considering he was 2 or 3% last week. But people are so hungry for wide receiver value this week because they need to pay up at running back. So I think we're going to see just extraordinary ownership on Cam Meredith.
Yeah, I like that. That's interesting. Obviously, a good athlete, too. You have to like those guys that get big-sized, type of production. Pete, any thoughts?
I mean, I like all the guys mentioned. I do think that in that same range, an expensive running back that I like a lot might not be as chalky, but I think he's a really great option. Lamar Miller as well. I think we'll see it might maybe go lower owned than the other running backs, but I certainly think he's in a great spot. And then at quarterback, I think we'll see people go a direction in one game. I think people will be on Tannehill potentially and Ben Roethlisberger, just like last week when people were on Fitzpatrick for the cheap option and Big Ben for the expensive option. So I could see both those quarterbacks in that game be owned. The other obvious choice is Drew Brees, who will be pretty heavily owned. And then if Cam gets ruled in, he'll also be a guy I think it's a good bit of ownership.
Can we talk a little bit about some of the wide receivers in that game? Because it seems like that would be a natural place to go if you're thinking about stacking for tournaments. But who are the guys in that game? Are you going more Snead? Are you going Cooks? How do you feel about Kelvin Benjamin? Obviously, you have Greg Olsen there. What are your thoughts on the pass catchers?
I think I like all the pass catchers in this spot. I think that there's, you can't really go wrong with anyone. Snead, we'll have to see how everything lines up this week going into Sunday, but he has a ton of talent, and a lot of people won't be on him relative to where they should be because he hasn't done much recently with the injury. I think recency bias will help him a lot. Brandon Cooks is obviously a great option as well. You could even say Ingram's an option too, but for me, the best play in the game is going to be Kelvin Benjamin. I think he has a ton of touchdown equity every time he takes the field. I know it was a little disappointing last night, but I think that he's one of the best plays in that game.
Yeah, I will say that DraftKings is adjusting price for matchup in some spots now. Like we saw them do it with Mike Evans when he was 6,500 against the Broncos. And in this spot, they bumped Kelvin Benjamin up to 8,100 because he's facing the Saints. That's obviously a lot. Like Kelvin Benjamin costs more than Le'Veon Bell, which is just insane, So, but definitely think Kelvin Benjamin and all those guys are going to have a good game. And I do think that Willie Snead being healthy is a pretty big blow to Michael Thomas. And not to say Michael Thomas can't have a good game in this spot, but I do think that Snead being back definitely hurts Michael Thomas.
Kevin, any thoughts on those guys?
Yeah, I wrote up Kelvin Benjamin in my or I had him in my video. So I really like him. And I'll talk about the other guys in a sec here when we get to the next section here.
Ah, all right, there we go. So, yeah, let's go ahead and get to that next section. And Levitan, let's start with you. Who are the chalky players that you are looking to pivot away from, and who are the leverage and pivot plays that you are considering?
Yeah, a guy I won't be playing is Ben Roethlisberger. I mean, the home road splits are so massive, and I remember a game at the Ravens last year. He was just a massive chalk, totally failed, and then 2 years ago he was coming off of back-to-back 6-touchdown games, and then he went on the road against a really bad defense. I think it was the Jets, and he totally failed. Got outscored by Mike Vick. I mean, this happens all the time with this guy. I just posted on Twitter the graphic from our trends tool from the labs. Trends tool, just kind of visualizing how bad he's been on the road compared to at home, and just like all red numbers against his salary when he's on the road. So I know everybody thinks that Miami's the worst team on earth, and everybody thinks that Pittsburgh's the best team on earth right now. Well, I think the Dolphins can show up. So I think I'll be off of Ben, much more likely to play Le'Veon Bell.
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking in the database that we have there at Fantasy Labs, and you look at home road splits, Ben Roethlisberger really is the best home quarterback in the NFL. And he's a good quarterback, but the fact that he is so good at home, it hides the extent to which he is so not good on the road historically. So it's definitely an interesting call there. Pete, what do you think?
I think people will be on him. Like I mentioned before, I'm not 100% sure where I'm going to go with him. I do think this offense with Le'Veon Bell is one of the best in the NFL, and Miami is pretty bad. But I do agree that he does have extreme home road splits. And along that same line, in the same position, I think Drew Brees is probably the best play overall, just a quarterback in terms of what my expectation for total points is. Raw points, I know he's expensive, but at home he has big splits as well, and that makes sense. I mean, there's a big difference for these guys playing when it's quiet. They have the crowd behind them. Obviously, things can get electric when they do well, and they have momentum, which is good for the players around them. So there's definitely an edge, which is why we see lines move a lot for home road guys, and certain quarterbacks have extreme splits. So I think Drew Brees makes a better play than Cam, better than Big Ben. He's probably my favorite overall quarterback this week.
All right, so Kevin, let's get into your tease there. Who is it that you are looking to pivot away from?
So it's pretty funny that Peter just brought him up, but my pivot or my fade is going to be Drew Brees this week. I just have a tough time. I think he's going to score some points, but I would rather go with someone like Roethlisberger or Cam, who they have a consistent number one target. For me, it's tough with Brees. He throws to Cooks a lot. He throws to Snead. He's got Michael Thomas this year. He's got Fleener. So I have a tough time pairing Brees up with one or even two pass catchers just because he has so many options there. So for me, I'm going to pivot off Brees. I think he'll be high owned. I think he is a good play if you can match up his receiver properly. Pick the one or two guys who go off. But for me, someone like Cam with Benjamin or Roethlisberger with Brown, even though he's really expensive, that's going to be where I pivot this week.
Well, sounds like we have a skill game prop. I got Brees. You got one of those guys.
I do think Brees is going to have a good game. Just tough with his receivers, I think, personally.
No, that's a valid point. It's a harder stack. You know, you have obvious ones throughout the league, and he definitely is a tougher guy to nail down. I do think the double stack with Brees makes a lot of sense because he has averaged, I think, like almost 400 yards, 399.5 through his first two games at home this year. Definitely spreads it around, which is a valid point, but he has so much upside on DraftKings, I think.
Any thoughts on Fleener? Because he might be a guy, like if you're willing to take the Fleener plunge, that he could get some production and you maybe be willing to pivot away from Snead or Cooks and toward Fleener. And, you know, he might not have high ownership, but he definitely has upside.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he's 3,500, right? Like, if we're going to make mistakes or if we're going to take chances on guys, like I like to take chances on them when they're sub 4K. So I'm kind of a Fleener apologist. Like, I still think he's going to have a good year. I know he's been terrible, but yeah, I think this is a great spot for him to have a good game too.
He's one of the most frustrating guys to watch play because he really doesn't seem like he likes football, and it's unfortunate because he's so big. He's relatively quick for his size. But, yeah, he just doesn't make catches. He runs out of bounds. I mean, he kind of plays – I don't want to say it, but, yeah, he doesn't play – plays a little soft. Yeah.
He shaved his head, though. I think he'll be more manly going forward. You know what I mean?
Lost the salon quality hair. Yeah. I mean, he had some serious locks. Like
I know. I know.
What if it works like Samson? Like, what if he lost all of his like strength and speed? like the salon quality hair could have been what was like making him at least an average player.
Adam, didn't he reference that he like would like potentially not play football or something at some point? Like hinted that he retire early. Am I making that up?
I don't remember anything like that, but it's probably possible. I mean, the Saints they gave him $36 million. I mean, that probably wasn't doing themselves any favors when you give a guy who might not be that interested in football $36 million. It's like, oh well, what's he going to do now? So I don't know. I hate the Saints organization in general. So
all right,
ask.
All right, well, let's talk a little bit about game selection. Peter, you just won the Thunderdome. You are sort of the GPP degenerate. And I should actually just take a quick moment to say that on FantasyLabs, every Friday we actually have a fantastic article that comes out that breaks down all of the different tournaments on DraftKings and FanDuel. So for people who are kind of like trying to hone in on the games that really fit your style, be sure to check out that document. But Peter, what are the GPPs that you have your eye on right now?
Tell everybody to play the Thunderdome. It's so easy to win. Just get in there.
It's effortless to win. Yeah, I've never lost the Thunderdome. Yeah, every single week. Yeah, no, I mean it's obviously the Thunderdome is a nice tournament. It does have a lower fee relative to other tournaments, but it is half the size it was last week. I don't think it's particularly as enticing. I think the one tournament, if you're going to talk high stakes, that has a lot of intrigue is the Wildcat. They raised the guarantee on that again, which is incredible. $1.5 million guaranteed, $333 buy-in. So if you're going to invest heavily in a GPP, I certainly think that's the one. There's a lot of upside, and it has a relatively deep payout. Obviously, I'm a sucker for the Millionaire Maker. That's a tournament I hope I can play for the rest of my life. So that's another one that I'd be looking at. And then the other thing I'd emphasize more than anything is play head-to-heads. If you're trying to just grind it out, that's the route to go with the least amount of variance.
Yeah, I'll say obviously I'm playing the Wildcat, and obviously I'm firing into the slant like always. But I think playing Thursday to Monday, and I think Kevin mentioned Carson Palmer. I mean, really, really good play at 6K. And I think what we've seen from the Cardinals is demoting Michael Floyd and promoting John Brown. I mean, John Brown has been balling out lately, and he's really the clear cut number 2 now, whereas before there was some question whether it was him or Michael Floyd. I mean, John Brown is it now. So I think getting Carson Palmer, John Brown stacks in, you can do that on Thursday and save a ton of money, whereas other people are going to be scrounging for money if they're paying for Cam or Breeze. So I think Thursday to Monday GPPs might make some sense there.
Yeah, I just want to quickly say I totally agree with the John Brown call, except where was John Brown last week in my school game prop where he had like 1 point against you and you had Bryce Brown? I thought I was going to destroy you in that, but it turned out.
You're talking about, you said Bryce Brown.
Bryce Butler.
You mean Christ Butler, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
What did he get? 2.9 fantasy points out of 10, or 2.5?
He had another touchdown callback. He's like the Amari Cooper of the Cowboys.
Amari Cooper light. He's Amari Cooper light.
Kevin, what are the GPPs you're looking at?
I like the Thursday to Monday contest this week as well. I like fading the Thursday contest. There's usually higher ownership in that. Or Thursday game, sorry. So I'm going to fade the Thursday game this week, and I'm going to have a lot of exposure to the Cardinals against the Jets. So I'll be playing that on the Thursday night. And then the one that I wrote down here was the 150K power sweep. A little bit of more medium stakes. It's a $150 buy-in, but it's a 3 entry max, 1,111 spots, and first place wins 10,000. So the prizes are pretty spread out and balanced compared to the front-loaded contest. So I think that's a good bankroll builder. It's called the 150K power sweep.
Yeah, I was playing that in golf too. I had like a success early on, and I thought I knew what I was doing in golf, and then just went straight downhill. But I like that 153 max too. That's a cool tournament.
Kevin, on a tournament like that, or any other tournament where you have a very small number of entries that you can put in there, what is your approach? Like, how are you thinking about, about structuring your small portfolio of lineups in comparison to the field that's out there?
So when there's anywhere over around 100 entries, so this one's over 1,000. So anywhere over 100, I try to kind of approach it as a GPP. If it's under 100, it's more cash game style for me. But with over 1,000 here, I approach it like a GPP, but I'm not as contrarian as I would try to be in something like the Millie Maker. So I try to be a little bit contrarian in a couple spots, but not overly contrarian.
Yeah, that makes sense. Is there a type of player that you really try to use as your contrarian go-to in a position like that, where you want it to be like properly contrarian but not too contrarian?
I like to try to be a little contrarian at tight end and defense. I think those are two positions that people can miss on. If there's, like this week we saw with Zach Ertz, he was around 25 or 30% owned. If you pivot off him to someone like Bennett, or you really hit the nuts on the position like tight end or defense, that's the way you can separate yourself from the field.
Yeah, I like that. I think that's pretty shrewd there. Let's talk about some of the conventional stacks. And Kevin, let's start with you. So you've talked about wanting to pivot away from Breeze because you're not really sure how to stack him or who to stack him with. Who are you looking to stack this week?
So I mentioned Cam Newton and Kelvin Benjamin in my YouTube video, but we kind of talked about them earlier. So I wrote down another stack here. Russell Wilson and Doug Baldwin. They're at home versus Atlanta. They've got an implied team total of over 25 points. The Falcons are 22nd in yards against per play so far, so their defense isn't great. And then using the FantasyLabs trend tool, I looked at Russell Wilson specifically. So since 2014, he's averaged almost 4 more DraftKings points per game as 1 to 7 point favorites compared to a favorite of 7 or more. So basically what that tells me is that when he's playing in tighter games, he has to make more plays and he puts up better numbers. And the Falcons are averaging 35 points per game. So I expect the Seahawks to have to push the envelope a little bit. And I expect a big game out of Russell Wilson. And then I think Doug Baldwin is a really underrated receiver as well. I think he has a big game this week too.
Yeah, I like that take. There's I would like to hear what Pete and Levitan have to say about this, but the Falcons are, I think they're intriguing, not necessarily in that like you want to go heavy on them, but they are consistently going over their implied point total per Vegas. And like it's something that you kind of can't ignore because they've been doing it consistently, and they just did it against a pretty decent defense this last week. So I would be curious to hear your thoughts on them, but then also obviously the conventional stacks that you're targeting.
Go ahead, Pete. They got the Falcons ate up the Broncos last week.
Yeah, no, toss it to me where I get to eat some humble pie. The Broncos got absolutely smashed. Running backs just destroyed Denver. Julio still, I think, what he ended up with 1-2 catches. So yeah, receivers versus the Broncos, you don't want to do still. But they crushed us with their running backs, and I think it represents the Falcons that are a really good offensive team. Word of caution with the Falcons, though, is they did start hot last year. I think they've done it a couple of years now. Matt Ryan is normally a hot starter and then kind of tapers off towards the end, and that does make sense. Quarterbacks in general should trend downward towards the end of the year. There's a really big split for the second divisional game. This is also a trend on FantasyLabs where quarterbacks perform a lot worse their second time within the division. So that makes sense for Matt Ryan, but this is still a really tough spot, a spot that I probably will fade for the most part, but I certainly understand wanting to attack with a team that's been really overperforming this whole year.
Yeah, so this is a really hard spot, right? Like the Falcons, okay, you go to Denver, you're really up for the game, you knock off the defending Super Bowl champs, and I don't know if they went home or not, but I assume they went home, and now they fly back out to Seattle to face a Seattle team which is coming off of a bye. Like I feel like the buck kind of stops here for Atlanta, so I'm off them completely. In terms of conventional stack, I think Kelvin will be probably one of the most popular. I think that Breeze with all kinds of different receivers will be really popular. I actually think that Breeze Snead will be pretty popular. I don't know. I feel like people have kind of had enough of Brandon Cooks. Maybe like I could see Snead actually be more popular than Brandon Cooks. What else? Oh, yeah. I think I'm sorry. I hate to say it for Pete, but I think Carr and Cooper are going to be pretty popular this week. They're playing at home again. They're playing the Chiefs, and everybody saw last week how many touchdowns Amari Cooper should have had, which was like 10, and they're going to be like, well, I'm going to get back on Amari Cooper and Derek Carr. So I think that'll be pretty popular too.
That's sad. It's probably going to be popular. I think you were going to be on the same stack on the next one, but I'm not going to snipe it at him. But it's one of the spots you've been calling all year with one of my guys. So a reference to the next one upcoming. But another expensive stack that I think could make sense is Aaron Rodgers and Jordy Nelson. The concern against Dallas is they are a very good ball control offense, but this is still a spot where you can invest in Aaron Rodgers at a low ownership, and I think there's some upside. Conventional stacks this week, I don't think there's as many big standouts that we'll see super heavily owned in cash games. And in tournaments, it's almost always spread out. So I really like some of the more contrarian ones, which we'll talk about here on the next segment.
Yeah, let's go ahead and jump into those. And Pete, let's just go ahead and start with you there. Who are the contrarian players that you are looking to stack in GPPs?
All right, I get to take this one. My favorite stack so far, again, it's early in the week, but one of my favorite stacks is Brock Osweiler to Will Fuller. I think that is one of the nut stacks. I assume Vontae Davis will be on Hopkins. I want everything to do with Will Fuller. The guy gets peppered with targets. Was the fastest player through the 1 p.m. and 4 p.m. games with the microchip in his shoulder pads, one of my favorite stats. I mean, the guy just makes touchdowns, and he's in a great spot. I really think this Texans team is going to be pretty easy to predict all year. When they're in good spots, I think they'll do well. When they're against tougher opponents or in tougher situations, Brock will kind of fold, and they won't play as well. So I'll take some Brock Osweiler this week against the Colts, who are terrible on defense still, and play at a fast pace.
Yeah, I really like that, especially because he underproduced last week. So I think that could hit his ownership even more. Levitan, who do you have?
Yeah, I am going to go. I don't know if this is off the board or not, but this Rams defense, I think we'll see who they get back. I mean, they played without William Hayes and Michael Brockers last week. But, to go and get lit up by a Bills team playing without Sammy Watkins, to me, is really scary. Now they go on the road to Detroit, who, I like Detroit, man. I know I'm in the minority here. It's just they throw so much, and it sets up so well for Theo Riddick. So I think Stafford and Theo Riddick is good. I think Stafford and Marvin Jones, who's had a couple slow games, is really good. I want to pick on the Rams. I want to play Stafford home, and it's pretty clear that Riddick and Marvin Jones are the two guys. We'll see what Eric Ebron's status is. It's so early. It's only Tuesday if you guys are listening back to this later. It's only Tuesday, so we'll see what happens. But for now, yeah, I think the Lions are very concentrated and in a good spot.
Real quick, props on the Theo Riddick call last week, Adam. That was so close to being a monster game. It was a great game, but it could have been epic for sure.
Yeah, we'll see what happens with Dwayne Washington. Like, anytime a team is only has two running backs active, like, that's something that I think we need to look at more. I definitely posted on the FantasyLabs Twitter feed if a team I see only has two running backs active. But, in that case, and they seem to not like Zach Zen or White Jesus. I don't know why, but they don't seem to like him very much. So it was really going to be all Theo Riddick. So we'll see if that happens again.
Kevin, what do you think?
This is from my video, but right now it's really the only contrarian stack I've got in mind. It's Andy Dalton and AJ Green. Dalton's only 5,500 on DraftKings. I think he's a little more pricey on FanDuel. But they're facing New England, whose defense might be a little overrated right now. They haven't had a tough schedule, so they're ranking 24th in DVOA defense, a stat that people might not be looking at too much. And Dalton was the 8th highest scoring quarterback on DraftKings last year, so he hasn't been too good this year. But, with AJ Green's got that upside. He's put up over 35 DraftKings points twice already this year. So I think for the price, Andy Dalton is a pretty good contrarian stack this week.
I don't know how contrarian this is, and Levitan, I'm sure you can tell me with your ownership projections. But Hoyer has actually been pretty decent in his starts so far. Not really sure when Cutler's coming back, but what are the thoughts on Hoyer with Zach Miller or obviously Cam Meredith? But what are just the thoughts on Hoyer as this centerpiece of a stack?
I don't have a problem with it at all. I don't think it'll be owned just because there's so many quarterbacks in good spots this week. There's like so many running backs in good spots too. I don't think we're going to see, outside of Cam Meredith, I don't think we're going to see huge ownership. So yeah, Hoyer, what's he, over 300 yards and multiple touchdowns in 3 straight games?
Yeah, almost 400 yards last week too.
Yeah, I can't knock the dude. I always thought Josh McCown was a little bit better, but I have no problem with these journeyman guys who put up numbers,
Yeah, you've been saying he's the best quarterback there still, haven't you, over Cutler?
Come on, that's not even a question.
Yeah, he's going to keep the job. And he had a great fantasy line again. I mean, 397 yards, 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
It's a great spot. And certainly you get a lot of savings. And for whatever reason, his price just kind of doesn't move like a crazy amount. I mean, it's 5,800 this week, but that's still cheap. The problem is there's just a lot of cheap quarterbacks. So I think you're going to get any of one of these stacks that you want this week at a pretty reasonable ownership because it should be pretty spread out.
Yeah. I'll say I think a lot of people are going to roll Cam Meredith, but they won't roll Hoyer to Meredith. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I can see that. Here's one more question. So with so many people, I think, going to be on, you have Breeze and then obviously Cam Newton. Tom Brady obviously was awesome last week. I think the matchup with Cincinnati is maybe not as terrifying as it seems like it should be. Last year, Cincinnati was good, right? But this year they've been sort of just average. They're actually allowing the second highest touchdown rate per pass attempt to quarterbacks this year. I mean, I think this potentially could be a place to get Brady with pretty low ownership. What do you guys think about him?
Go ahead, Kevin.
Yeah, I think he's a good play. I think I watched the Bengals live there in Pittsburgh, and Roethlisberger didn't do too much of that game, but it was really wet, and I think he missed a couple throws there. So I don't think the Bengals defense is that good this year, and I think Brady will be probably under 10% owned this week, and he's got a lot of options there. So I think that's a pretty good call too. I'd go on either side of the ball for that game, and I might do a couple game stacks in that game as well.
I mean, Peter, I don't want to insult you, but like Trevor Siemian tore up the Bengals this year. I mean, like if he can do it, like why can't Tom Brady do it? You know, like angry Tom. I'm sure he still has some anger left over from last week.
Yeah, the play is Brady Gronk. I feel like that's pretty much like this is the spot. I mean, last year I got punished rostering Gronkowski way too much. That was one of the one players that just absolutely devastated me throughout the year. Haven't really rostered him at all, obviously, so far this year, just with his injury. But if you're going to get back on the bandwagon, I definitely think this is a good spot with Gronk.
Yeah. The only thing I'll say is, like, he's the same price almost as Cam and Breeze, right? Like, I don't really see any way Cam and Breeze fail. So, like, I don't think rostering Brady, like, just for his lower ownership is, like, some kind of great play. I do think that Brady's going to play well, but I think that, at the same price, you have a higher expectation with Breeze and Cam both.
Yeah, I understand that. Let's get to the bold call segment of the show. Last week we got only one bold call right. That was Peter picking the Lions to beat the Eagles. They won by 1 point. Levitan, your streak of multi-touchdowns, it was thwarted. I imagine that you were going to be searching for redemption this time, but
who did I say? Do you remember?
Devontae Parker.
Oh God, yeah, that was terrible.
Yeah, not even close.
It was not a sharp call, yeah.
But let's jump into it. Each of you give me a bold real football call and then a bold DFS call. And Peter, let's start with you.
All right. This is a tough week. I'll say originally it was more bold, but I think Kansas City beats the Raiders in this spot. Andy Reid coming off a bye. He's been historically great. I think some ridiculous like 13-1 or 14. I don't know the exact record. This is a stat I heard a while back. But he's a guy that he's a plotter. Give him extra time. That really helps him. And Oakland, obviously, coming off a nice win, I think in this spot could be a slight letdown. And Kansas City is talented. So I'll take them as a real-life call. For the bold call, I'm kind of stuck, but I'm going to say I don't know how bold it is. Will you guys let me off saying Snead scores multiple touchdowns?
I mean, I think it's bold to say anytime like a position, like a receiver, anytime a receiver scores multiple touchdowns, that's fairly bold.
How about this? I'll stay with my Chiefs call. I'll say Jeremy Maclin has a touchdown and over 100 yards.
Yeah.
I like that. I like the Chiefs. I like Alex Smith. I like Maclin, but we can't say that the Chiefs beating Oakland is a bold call. The line is a pick. You're muted.
You're muted, but that's maybe for the best.
No, I'm muted for the best. They started off as a 2 or 3 point favorite, right? Of the original line,
Fine. We'll give it to you. Just take it as a pick. Bold call.
Yeah, I don't have a confidence in like any other underdog really. Like Washington, like they started off as a favorite, now they're a dog.
All right, Levitan, let's go to you for your bold calls here.
Yeah, I alluded to it earlier. Dolphins, beat the Steelers. I mean, anytime in the NFL, there's a situation where everybody assumes that one team is the GOAT and the other team is the WOAT, and that alleged GOAT team is going on the road. I'm always going to be on the home dog side where everybody's giving them. I mean, people are now tweeting me, telling them that, saying they can never use Jarvis Landry again because Ryan Tannehill is the worst player in the NFL. Like, he had a really, really bad game. I get it. He has really bad games. He also has really good games, and I think that he can have a really good game here. So Dolphins beat the Steelers for my real life call, and then for my DFS call, I don't know if this is bold or not, but I'll go 3 touchdowns for one Marcus Mariota against the Cleveland Browns college caliber defense.
Yeah, I mean, I think that works. Kevin, what are you boldly calling?
My bold call for the real life NFL is going to be 49ers get shut out by the Bills. And going really bold there.
Yeah, well, we didn't even mention Kaepernick starting, so yeah.
Yeah, is Kaepernick confirmed?
Confirmed, yep.
Is he? Okay. So I like that. And my DFS call is going to be, you guys tell me how bold this is, but Jamal Charles puts up 150 or more all-purpose yards.
Oh, God.
First game back, so I don't know if it's bold.
That's bold. That's you're on drugs type of bold.
If you told me he was going to play 20 snaps, I would have said that's bold.
I'm hoping he gets about 60, 70, 65, 70% of the snaps, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see what happens in practice with that. And we talked about that in our chat today. I mean, I guess I'm more, to quote Peter, more bearish on Jamal Charles. They've just strung him along for so long. It makes me think that something more is wrong there. He comes back before the bye, and he's active only because Charkandrick West was sidelined, and they give him 10 snaps. I don't know. We'll see if he practices in full all week. You definitely could be right. But I just see a really strict timeshare there with Ware, and we'll see what Charkandrick West status is.
All right, well, I'm glad that Kevin opened the door to talk about the 49ers. Fortunately, I no longer have to talk about Blaine Gabbert anymore, but unfortunately, that means I have to talk about Colin Kaepernick. What are the thoughts on him as a Hail Mary type of something? Here's one thing that I think is interesting. Jeremy Curley, in the market share report that Brian Mears puts out each week, Jeremy Curley, I believe, has the 4th highest market share out of all wide receivers in the NFL. I mean, that guy is getting peppered with targets pretty consistently. Any thoughts on this 49ers offense, which actually has been going over its implied Vegas point total pretty consistently this year?
I'm off it. I mean, no offense to Kaepernick. I don't really think that I think he's an upgrade on Gabbert because, like, anybody is an upgrade on Gabbert, but I don't think it's a big enough upgrade for me to start rostering 49ers. I mean, I haven't done it all year. I don't plan on starting.
Yeah, full fade for me, and it sounds like Kevin's fading if he's predicting a shutout. So, no.
yeah, maybe against the bad defense, I would take a look at him, but not against the Bills. I think the Bills are doing pretty well on defense so far, so I'll fade that game.
Yeah, definitely after those first 2 games. All right, guys, let's get to the skill game proposition segment. It's, I think, my favorite segment of the show because it's the point when I sort of get to hear you put, some relatively soft skin in the game and get your logic on this. Pete, let's start with you since you are in the lead right now. What are some skill game props that you have circulating in that cranium of yours?
Try to get the volume game going again. First guy I'm going to go after here is Kevin. I'll take Drew Brees. You can take any other quarterback outside Cam. Who'd you say you didn't like? You didn't like Cam either in that? You can take whoever.
No, I do. Yeah, I do like Cam. I like Brees, but I'll take Roethlisberger.
Okay. I'll take Brees. So
I want to be on the other side of Roethlisberger too. Can I get Cam against Roethlisberger?
Sure. Yeah, I'll do that. I think it's gonna be a toss up between the 3 of them. I like all 3 of them, but I'll take.
All right, give me Cam against Roethlisberger.
All right, Kevin, you get to take someone you like now too if you want. I'll go the other side.
I'll take Jamal Charles over 1 touchdown if anyone wants to take the under.
Yeah,
give me that.
Yeah. All 3 of us, which means you'll probably win because that's just how these things tend to go.
Charles, Kevin. I'll set the line on total yards for Jamal Charles at 55.
All purpose?
All purpose.
I don't like that. I might even take the over on that.
I'll take that.
The dude literally might just sit on the bench again, and you have to take that into account.
That's true.
I think he's full goal this week, but I obviously haven't heard any reports or anything, but I think they're going to put him right back into the number one. We'll see, though.
If he gets 10 touches, that's like his average if he gets 10 touches.
Assuming that he's the player he was before he blew out his knee.
That's also factually correct. I don't know. I would lean over on that one if I knew he was playing, but it's too risky to take it now early in the week when he could not play or whatever.
Yeah, I'll take it.
All right.
Kevin's taking it. He's risky. He's bold. Peter, any other skill game props you have up there?
I'll take Lamar Miller over a couple guys. I don't want you to take Murray or Le'Veon Bell, but I would let someone take even LaShawn McCoy or whoever else you want. I'll take Lamar Miller versus anyone not named DeMarco Murray and Le'Veon Bell.
Yeah, I like Lamar Miller a lot, but just for action, I'll take LaShawn McCoy. I'm curious what you guys think about Jordan Howard because nobody's talking about him, but has a really good matchup and he's going to touch the ball 20 to 25 times. What do you think about Jordan Howard versus Lamar Miller?
He's up there. I mean, 62 is cheaper, so I think he's right there. I think similar points per dollar play. I think it's just a consideration of who you want to get to. Running back definitely seems like a spot to spend, but Murray and Bell, both great options. McCoy, Miller, Howard. I mean, it's all those options are really close points per dollar, I think.
That's why there's so many running backs. Ingram, Theo, and we might even be able to play James Starks, if Lacey can't go. There's going to be a situation where I want to play too many running backs. I can tell already.
Yeah. All right, so I got Lamar Miller. I'm trying to think of what else I can
I'll go Calvin Benjamin under 100 receiving yards.
Done. It's a good one. Give you some edge there. I'll take it.
So, Levitan, you are under, right?
Under, yeah. I want under Calvin 100, yeah.
So if he gets exactly 100, I win, right? 99, you win.
Yeah, that's fine.
Cool.
I'm going to take that one, too. I'm going to be on the
you guys both are going over.
I'm going on the Levitan side.
Yeah, that's the sharp side.
If you'll take that.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I bet you that the prop for Calvin Benjamin yards will be 80.5. So that's smart to take.
Yeah, I mean, the Antonio Brown prop is rarely even over 100, isn't it?
Yeah, who had a huge prop last week is David Johnson. I'll take Le'Veon Bell versus David Johnson if you guys are bullish on the Cardinals, but it's a tougher run spot. Obviously.
Yeah, no, I'm off that.
Yeah, that doesn't seem fair.
I've got one for you, Peter. I got Osweiler under 1.5 touchdowns.
Done.
Cool.
Yeah.
I should have started off with 2, but I think
choose. It's really hard to do that at 2 because you need 3 to win. So you're just pushing or losing a lot.
I'll do 1. I like 1.5 still.
I think I appreciate it. Throw out something else that you like, and I'll try to be generous back.
Yeah, I mean, last week Levitan started out at 2.5 on.
That's because Levitan was trying to scheme us. It was just a total joke. Kevin's offering. He's throwing out fair numbers here. I like it. I just took the bad side on the Kelvin thing. It's all good. Stand by your calls.
I'll throw out if anyone wants. I got Sammy Coates over 20 DraftKings points.
Wow, dude, you should take lower. Take over 17 or something.
I'll take the under, but I love Sammy Coates.
17 is much more fair, I think.
Yeah, our initial projection on him, and I don't know, this will change throughout the week or change as we get more information, but our initial projection on Sam Coates is only 12.8, and I think that's fair considering how volatile his targets are. You know what I mean? Not only does he drop everything, but all his targets are 50 yards down the field. So yeah, if he hits 1 for a touchdown, it's obviously over. I don't know. Do you feel comfortable playing Sammy Coates in cash again, Peter? Now he's 4,700.
Well, last week was more the Sammy Coates playing cash was literally just to it was trying to leverage all that equity because the Pittsburgh had a 29 team total at the close. They're going to throw all day. It's not going to come through the run. So playing Ben, Le'Veon, Antonio, and Coates are just basically capturing all those points. So it wasn't I thought there were better plays than Coates. I liked him a lot, but yeah, I probably won't have him in cash at 4,700. Although I do think he's a solid play. I might have a little bit. I'll have him in tournaments for sure. Tournament play, I think that's where I'll get a lot of exposure.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with Coates is he's just sort of he's a stereotypical tournament play. He really is Martavis Bryant, but I don't think people are thinking of him that way. But he's getting his yardage in the same way. The touchdowns are starting to come. I don't think there's any way he really gets 12 point. Adam, what did you say the projection is right now? Like 12.8?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think he gets around there. I think he gets around, either like 7 or 8 or like 25. Right. It's going to be somewhere like in the extremes with him.
I'd take over 15 fantasy points right now. I'll slip the line there. I know Kevin wants that too. I mean, this is a guy too who gets a ton of targets relatively compared to other guys in this price range. I still think he's there's a good amount of equity here. He does have boom or bust potential week to week because he's going to rely on the long touchdown to really hit his ceiling. But I still think that there's a decent floor. I mean, he should get 8 targets a game. He's gotten 8 and 11 the last 2. He should get around 7, 8 targets a game, I would think.
Yeah, he's going to be super popular again.
Yeah. Him or Cam Meredith in cash, like just as a points per dollar.
I mean, I feel, God, I might have to play both. If you want to play those 3 wide receivers, those 3 running backs, you might have to play both.
Yeah, it's true. So we're doing over 15. You guys said 12.8, or I don't want to. Kevin threw out 20.
Yeah, I'll take under 15. That's fine. I'll give you guys both.
I'll take the over 15.
I'll take over 15. Okay.
I'll take under 15.
All right.
Okay.
I like Jeremy Macklin. If you guys want to start getting into like some one-on-one different receiver versus receiver or quarterback versus quarterback, we can do some of those.
Yeah, let's do that.
I like Macklin, yeah.
Peter, any thoughts on who you'd want to take against Macklin?
No, I want Macklin. So if you guys so throw out anyone who's like cheaper than him, I'll even throw out there. You can do that. 6,300 for Jeremy Macklin.
I like Macklin.
I'll take Baldwin over Macklin.
Done.
I'll take Jarvis Landry in a bounce back spot over Macklin.
You get 500. I definitely like Landry more. Landry's 500 more. I would give you that, but Landry's like that last game was an anomaly. I mean, he has gotten double-digit targets and caught at least 6 balls in 9 games previous to last week.
Yeah,
and he's such a good DraftKings play. I can't do that.
All right, I'll take.
If you want some, like, you can go more expensive. Just that's one particular guy.
Pete, I've got 2 here. Pick your poison: Snead or Fuller.
I'll let you have Snead if you want. And take him. I mean, that's 2. I call it. You can take whoever you want.
I mean,
Fuller is one of my guys this week. I absolutely love him.
I mean, I like Fuller too. How about we do 2 where I take. We just double it up. I take both of those guys.
That's fine. That's fine.
Okay.
Who do you want, Adam?
There's nobody really in that range that's standing out to me. There's some tight ends I like. I don't know.
I know you like Marvin Jones too. That upper tier receiver is kind of interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely Marvin Jones, but he's a lot more expensive than Macklin. He's 900 more than Macklin.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's someone who's in that range.
I'll take Marvin Jones over Brandon Cooks.
All right, I'll take Cooks. Sure, give you that. I like Jones a lot. Stafford Jones Riddick is a good stack this week. You could even go balls to the wall with the Stafford Jones Riddick Tate if things work out. It could happen.
Levitan, do you think that Dez Bryant plays this week?
It seems like they're saying they're going to play it safe. I mean, I don't know what that means. I think I don't even think the Cowboys know right now. If I had to guess, I would probably say no, but I really have no idea.
Well, let's get some Bryce Butler action up in here.
Yeah, I mean, this is a much better spot than last week. I think he's playing the Packers. We know Odell got shut down, but Odell can't really hold a candle to Christ Butler. So, yeah, I'm going to take action on Christ.
What's his price?
He's $3,500.
Oh, man, it's kind of enticing. Do either of you guys, Levitan, give us the price limit on a player we can pick?
I'll let you go up to 40. I'll let you go up to 200, but you can't take Cam Meredith.
Damn it! Cam Meredith was my instant pick at 4,100. Damn it!
You can take Robert Woods.
That's really enticing. I
mean, Robert Woods is the number 1 receiver at home against San Francisco. Like, it'd be really hard for Robert Woods to. Like, everybody.
Who's a sharper play, him or is Tajay Sharp even in consideration? He got 4 targets last week. He sucked.
I haven't looked at him, but he's certainly had tough matchups. I mean, this is obviously the nut matchup for Tajay Sharp. I think he's in play. I have to look harder at it, though. I'm not sure yet.
Here's the thing, but people were saying that last week about him in Miami, about how it was supposed to be a good matchup for him. Like at this point, he's not getting the targets.
Right.
Getting the targets. They're starting to give some of them to like Andre Johnson, Rashard Matthews. It's just Tajay Sharp is now, I think, just a committee guy as opposed to the guy who got an unreal number of targets in week one.
Yeah. And I think
go ahead, Adam.
I was just going to say, I think we talked about this on this very show. Like the beginning of the year, it was like, we didn't expect a 5th-round rookie to actually be good for a whole season. He was just coming out of the gate with such volume that he was viable. And now what Freedman was saying is coming into fruition where, hey, listen, he's kind of slow. He's not that athletic. He's a 5th-round rookie on a run for his team. He's not really going to have a good year. So yeah.
Yeah, makes total sense. I'll take one just on the CSU train. I'll take Tavon Austin, even though he has less equity than some of these other guys. But that's our guy versus our guy, right? Right, Adam?
Okay. Yeah,
you with Butler. All right, I'll take Tavon.
Let me see here. I'm going to do Devonta Adams.
You're taking Devontae Adams?
Yeah, which I kind of can't even believe, but I actually think that he's getting a pretty decent number of targets. He's getting targeted near the end zone. Like I think that people need to start coming around a little bit just to entertaining the idea that he's not like the worst player in the NFL.
Yeah. When you watch the Packers play, it's like every ball intended for Devonta Adams is like almost picked off. It's actually wild. Like it's crazy. I mean, I don't know what you're throwing out there, but I don't think, like using guys against the Cowboys is just like, even in Lambeau, I don't know. Maybe the Cowboys, maybe the Packers can really get something going, but.
Yeah, I'm going to take him. I mean, Levitan, I'll take him against your Bryce Butler.
All right, that's fine. Yeah.
Same game, head-to-head matchup there.
Only if Dez plays. I mean, only if Dez is out.
Yeah, only if Dez is out. Okay, any final skill game props here?
Let's go tight end real quick and we'll finalize with that. I like Charles Clay, and also we saw in one of our other chats, Travis Kelce is another interesting one. But I'll throw out Charles Clay. You can take anyone under Kobe Fleener.
The only person I have on my list under in that price range is Will Tye, but I don't know. Larry Donnell could get cleared, so I'm just gonna pass.
All right, I'd even take. I guess I like Zach Miller too. Right above him, there's some other good guys. Who are you looking at, Adam?
I think it's still early. I haven't really looked that hard yet, but I think Jimmy Graham is somebody that we have to start considering back to elite status. I mean, he's priced up at 4,900, but he's like being used as a wide receiver once again and putting up just monster lines and should be even healthier as he comes out of the bye. So that's something I'm going to think about more. But my initial thought was like, I mean, Jimmy Graham is just tearing through the league again.
I like it.
I like that call. I'll throw out Kelce just to give it to you, but I think I prefer Graham over Kelce for sure.
Yeah, I like Kelce too, but that's fine. I'll take Graham.
All right, just get it out there.
Kevin, any tight ends that you like?
Actually, in my video, I had Jimmy Graham and Charles Clay, so right on the same page there.
Yeah.
I'd take Jimmy Graham over Kelce.
Graham is a way higher expectation, I feel like. I'll do it. It's close.
I'll
get it.
Yeah.
Not a way higher. I like Graham in this spot. I think Russell Wilson was a good call. I think Russell Wilson, Baldwin, Graham, that definitely could pay dividends this week. Because Russell Wilson also crushed towards the end of the last year. He was a slow starter, opposite of Matt Ryan. So I like that quite a bit.
I'll give you some equity back, Pete. I'll take Jordan Reed over Gronk.
Okay, done.
Yeah, and thinking of Gronk, where are you guys kind of slotting him in comparison to the other tight ends? I know Peter's talked about him, but Levitan or Kevin, what do you guys think about Gronk?
Go ahead, Kevin.
I think he's a good play. I probably won't pay up for him much. But I do think he'll put up maybe 15 to 20 DraftKings points. I like him this week. I'll throw him in probably a couple more GPP lineups than I normally would at that price.
Yeah, I mean, I have some pretty bad scars, just like Peter, from rostering Gronk too much last year, and that was when his hamstring was right, and that was before they got Martellus Bennett. They're using them together a ton, but I don't know, man. Like, I just have a bad taste in my mouth from last year, so I'm probably not going to be paying for Gronk.
At least he won't end up in cash. I'm pretty confident he won't be in my cash game team. So it's really just a tournament play, and I get it. If you look through the tight ends, Greg Olsen will garner a lot of ownership based on what he did last night. Everyone saw him. It's in the best spot. I think he'll soak up a lot of ownership with the expensive tight ends. And you look at Gronkowski, definitely the most likely guy of any tight end to catch 2+ touchdowns. Yeah. So can't hate it as a tournament play. It's nice that we won't have him in cash because I got burned so bad last year playing him too much in cash.
Yeah.
All right. Any final tight end skill game props? I think we're done. I think we're good here. Yeah. Guys, good show. Thanks for being on the show. We've been speaking with Kevin McClelland, Adam Levitan, and Peter Jennings on Twitter at KevinSportsGeek, Adam Levitan, and CSURam88. And you can follow me on Twitter at MattFTheOracle. I'm Matthew Freedman, and this has been the Daily Fantasy Flex podcast for Week 6. If you like the show, please rate and review us on iTunes, Stitcher, or Podbean. Also, you can contact us via email, podcast@FantasyLabs.com. Let us know what you think. Follow us on Twitter at FantasyLabsPods. And be sure to check out all of our content on the site, especially our NFL dashboard with game previews and positional breakdowns out on Thursday. Thanks for tuning in. Good luck, and we will see you next week.